Detmer has a headache, Jet has a backache, and Culber reminds us that T-shirt has a hyphen. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
We are joined by very special guest, Mr. Homer Frizzell, associate producer. How are you, Homer?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we are reviewing Discovery Season 3, Episode 2, Far From Home, which is confusing because the previous episode was a Part 1, and it said it was like You Are the Hope Part 1. So when is Part 2? I guess it would make sense that Part 2 would be the next time we see Michael Burnham, at least for a whole episode. Anyway, very quickly, everybody, if you enjoy what we do, please check us out, patreon.com/the7th-rule. Costs like $1. You can join it and be a patron and help us out and be our friends. If you just want to support us in a more free way, just subscribe, share our content, comment, give us likes, do all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about Discovery, shall we?
Sure.
Yeah, it was good.
So, what do you think, Homer, of the whole episode?
What I think, I have to say that Jet Reno had a lot of difficult words to say, or the actor Tig Notaro did, and she did great. And it was interesting to me that even though it was an away mission, really, Saru and Tilly on their Western excursion, you had Stamets repairing something, and I can't remember all the different things that Jet referred to him as. I want to say
Bobcat.
Spanky or Bobcat, whatever.
That was great.
Whatever that is, and Cranky Pants and stuff. So I like the further development of this sort of totally different types of characters. And then also we have this mystery with Detmer. I mean, we see her during the crash landing scene, which is amazing, how she has thrown over her console and then she lands. But we're like, I'm thinking, wait, is it something to do with her implants? Something to do with the burn? What's going on? Like, how is she affected? Yet it's not something that comes through on the medical scans. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, right. Detmer, she got a problem. And by the way, shout out to Dr. Pollard makes an appearance.
Right.
It was great to see Raven Dowda there. But they basically say, hey, you're fine, Detmer. You get right back to it, which is kind of reminiscent of when Nog said, oh, my leg hurts. And Doc says, you should be fine.
And also strange that as she's walking out of sickbay, Dr. Culber is like doing a second glance, wondering maybe why she's leaving sickbay, wondering something. We don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they alluded to that. Detmer has the thing on her eye, right? What is her?
Yeah.
What is her species or?
Well, she is a human, but what happened was in the very first episode, she's the only person that was on the same ship, the Shenzhou, with Michael Burnham in the first episode and with Captain Georgiou. Now, she, that ship gets blown up and a lot of people die. Detmer survives, but as a result of that accident, she has these cranial implants. We don't really know a lot about it. They don't really talk a lot about it. So that's about as much as we know.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to be. It's going to be something that's going to be reoccurring in the storyline, like Homer's pointing out that it's not. They didn't just leave it closed. They kind of left it open for them to explore it later on in the future and see what it is that's bothering her. It's funny because when I was watching her go through that, I was actually thinking of Rutherford from Lower Decks.
Right.
And I was thinking, is she going to have some kind of malfunctioning problem with her?
She has a different personality all of a sudden.
Yeah, right. It's odd. I mean, Rutherford, it sounded like that was elective surgery. He's like, yeah, I'll get these implants. Why not? Whereas with Detmer, I think she got hurt, and there has to be sort of this blame that is assigned to Michael Burnham as well. And I think that came up a little bit during season 1 of Discovery, but maybe that's something that will come back along with this sort of thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. By the way, check out Homer's awesome jacket.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah. Floss that out for us, man. Look at that.
Ooh, Discovery.
Floss. I don't floss. I mean, I floss, but I don't do the ski pole thing.
Oh, no. That means just show it off, you know. It's like flossing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little street lingo. But I like the color on that jacket, man. I mean, that is a sexy jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they are staying relatively true to the Discovery style where it's offset a little bit and you have this part of the collar a little bit lower. And it's comfy, and you can take this guy off, you can unzip and walk around, and it's like streetwear. Oh, and this is also, call out to Tilly, this is in copper operations. So I decided to go copper.
Right.
Yeah.
David Copper. So, What?
So speaking of that, you know, when Saru and Tilly left the Discovery, they had to walk a long ways, but it was not across a field, but it was a long ways that they had to walk.
Right. I did want to mention very quickly about Tig Notaro's character, Jet Reno. I don't know if I'm the only person that noticed this, but it seemed like her first 6 lines were all, my back hurts, my back. And then the second, the first line is, oh boy, I hurt my back. And then the next line is, I don't know, but my back sure hurts. And then the next one is, well, I would help you, but this back here hurts. And the next one is, boy, you look like you're in pain. I know because I'm in pain here because I'm like, we get it. Wasn't there? I feel like if she was like reading that script, she's like, hey guys, do I have to say my back hurts? Is it? Trust us. You need to say it 6 times in 14 minutes or they're not going to get it. But
they got a lot of mileage out of that.
She sure.
Yeah.
It was like a running joke or something, but not on purpose. I don't know.
And she had the tool chest that converted into a chair. That's cool.
That's cool.
And then she got to use it with Stamets. And it's like, no, I'm not going up there.
Yeah, with the back thing, it was just like, it was a little bit too much. They overly accentuated that point. But, the thing that was nitpicking for me, my little nitpick of this was, first of all, the opening scene with the crash, I thought was fantastic. So visually,
beautiful.
The special effects, them flying through asteroids and shooting down icebergs so that they can land into the ice, I thought was all done well and visually looked spectacular. But then it made me think of something that is just so, like, I guess basic and remedial, maybe elementary in its own design. So we have seatbelts in cars. We have seatbelts on airplanes.
Here it comes.
And somehow
I have no idea where he's going.
Yeah, no clue.
And yet somehow, when we design these futuristic state-of-the-art spaceships, people are just standing there getting hit with torpedoes and things of that nature or crash landing. And you're like, well, what is the safety mechanism that was installed in this kind of vehicle to avoid people tumbling over the consoles and breaking their neck or their back? And you would think there'd be a 1,000 different ways. My way would be to do some kind of gravity boots where your shoes are actually, locked into the ground, so you're not flying all over the place every time you get hit with weapons.
Yeah, but then you just fall on your face because you're standing there, and if something next to you,
your kicks will be fine.
Yeah, right.
Just tip over.
Like a weeble.
But no, I just thought, there's got to be some innovation other than just like you're rocking all over the place.
Seatbelts come later. That's that's in the Next Generation, and it's First Contact. Oh, do they have an Enterprise? Well, then they did away with them, and they said we're using inertial dampeners, but apparently the inertial dampeners don't do everything.
But yeah, in First Contact, they definitely strap up in the Phoenix.
Yeah, and Picard makes a comment about it when he's trying out his new... Oh, wait, sorry. First Contact, you're back. Different scene. Seatbelts twice, I think.
Yeah, but that you're right, Strock. That's something that people have noticed quite a few times, where these guys are rocking and rolling in their seats, or Worf's body double is flying over the whole bridge.
Yeah, there would be some kind of way that they'd have to, like, stabilize people in their own little section. Seatbelt seems a simple way, but I'm sure there's some futuristic way to say seatbelt.
Yeah. So what was cool about this episode is that we see everybody. Like, everybody has a part. From Saru all the way down the line, even to Lieutenant Nilsson, who was the original actress for Arium. Lieutenant Nilsson, we even got some Linus. I mean, literally there must have been like 12, 13, 15 characters. Every single character that we know on Discovery had some lines in this. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you have to wonder exactly what happened with Linus and Giorgio, and where that might go, or where it went, and how all of a sudden Giorgio ends up in the Western town. The Western town. Yeah, and talking about his eyes and what he can see too. So there might be something that comes of that, I think. I want to say that the Western motif, and when they use the individual transporter and they end up right in front of the swinging gate to the bar.
Saloon.
Yeah, the saloon.
Yeah,
you have Zareh, I think, with the spurs walking in, and you're on the boots initially, just like you do in some Westerns. I thought that was a nice touch. It sort of sets the tone for this world anyway.
Right, and then we see these the character Cal, who says that many of them are Corridons, right? Now, I recognize this kind of thing on his head, so I looked him up, because I'm trying to remember who else has been a Corridon, but I feel like I've seen it before. And it has popped in and out through Star Trek. There have been a lot of Corridons. There's been a lot of mentions of it here and there. I did look it up. Yeah. Nothing too major, though. You're going to say something, Homer?
Yeah, so also this world, and I don't know if we caught what it's called beyond the colony. But there is mention of Orions, which we saw, and also the Tellarite exchange. So it's kind of these folks that are associated with the Federation that are here, but probably aren't exactly supportive of whatever the Federation is these days.
Yeah, that was a really cool bad guy, villain, by the way. What was his name? Zareh. Yeah. I really like that actor. I don't know if we've seen him in anything before. I don't know if I have, but I was really impressed. And he's going to pop up again. There's no way he's not going to show up again. They didn't kill him. They even put the boy, I don't think he can survive this. So he will.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. And of course, I don't have my IMDb open to his page at the moment, but he has done a heck of a lot of stuff for sure. So it would be a waste, I think, if he doesn't come back in some way or form. And I like also the dynamic that they set up between not just him and Saru, but also him and Tilly, and I forget what he called her, like sweetie or something derogative. And she actually said that to him at the very end when he was kind of getting ready to be sent packing.
Missed that. So I'm looking this guy up. His name is Jake Weber, or Jake Weber, depending on how it's pronounced. He was in 13 Reasons Why. Homeland. Oh, now I know. Homeland. Brett O'Keefe in Homeland. great. Now I know what I recognize him from. He's great. He's also in Hell on Wheels, which is a big series with Anson Mount, I believe, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and going back to what you said earlier about Cordon, the Cordon?
Cordon, yeah.
Cordon, yeah. The most famous Cordon is...
Cordon Bleu.
The Cordon Bleu.
I knew it.
Yes. Yes, you guessed right, my son. Very good.
Well, he also actually, we're going to find out that guy has a brother whose middle name is Roy. No?
Cordon Roy? No, I don't know about that one.
No, we'll stick with Cordon. We'll stick with Cordon Bleu.
Yes, please, let's do that. You know what? It was. I have my own little nitpick about. So we're like 900 future, right? I mean, is that's the going?
Right, 931.
Okay, and I just felt like when they were using their weapons in the saloon, and I think they killed Cal's character. And he kind of died that really horrible death that made him look like he was kind of frying in the inside or something. It just made me think that they would have developed in all this time a more convenient way to exterminate you without all that.
Yeah, it seems like it's deliberately torturesome because. Right. That is a very inefficient weapon right there. He's just like, I'm going to kill you now. Well, in 2 minutes, but I'm starting starting right now.
If I keep this laser beam focused on the same place, you'll feel it and die
Don't
slowly.
Move. Just don't move, you.
Yeah, it was a little like, all right, is this future technology or did they go in the future or the past? So that was kind of a little bit weird to me, the way the weapons were functioning. I thought it would exterminate a lot quicker.
Yeah, and it seems like it's almost a torture device, too.
Right.
Because later on with Giorgio, you're like, wait, she's still alive. Okay, good. And it has to be, maybe there's a stun setting, there's a light torture mode. Maybe it starts with a tickle mode, and then there's a light torture, and it moves up to something that really hurts. And yeah, I don't know. We didn't get to see the settings on the gun.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like trying to kill somebody with a taser. And you just keep holding it on them and just tasing him until they just... You give up?
Homer, say uncle. Homer,
say uncle.
If you had to pick one character in Discovery that you think would have the funniest reaction to tickle mode, who would it be?
I think it would maybe not be funny, but it would be the most interesting to see, and I think that would be Giorgio.
Yeah.
I think the tickler would be in some sort of headlock or dead.
No, I think she would just giggle.
Oh, that's so. You stop. I don't know.
I think Jet Reno would be a good candidate too for the tickler.
Mm-hmm.
I think she would. I
think she would talk about her back while you're tickling her.
She's like, when you tickle me, it hurts my back. Don't you know my back hurts? Yes, we know, dude.
Okay, just making sure.
So there was something else in this episode that I saw that someone had mentioned. So in Calypso, there's reference to the shuttle that I'm blanking on it. I just saw it, and I'm blanking on the name of the character. That the guy escaped with, and he's watching Betty Boop, and he's talking about, and these are his enemies and how
Kraft,
they like this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Kraft is right. And so there's a word that's said, and I think it's Varash, Verjar.
The Vidrash, something like that?
Yeah, Vidrash, something like that. And that's in reference to the folks that he escaped from, the people that had this shuttle that presumably liked Betty Boop. And then he also refers to himself as human on Alcor 4, maybe. Anyway, so I'm wondering, I think they're making a connection eventually. And are these people the Federation in the future? Because Calypso happens about 100 years, no, maybe not that much, maybe 20 years after this episode, time-wise. And if they're planting the seeds for this, and I'm wondering also if the Federation that we see now, is there just the one Federation with the guy that has the flag that's sparsely populated with stars? Or maybe there's like another one that sort of split off, after the burn, and they tried to keep going a different way. I don't know, but I think we'll find out eventually.
Cirroc and I were wondering the same thing.
That's what I thought, and I apologize for stealing your thunder. Sorry.
No, that's
knowledge. That thought actually led me to another thought, which is the Federation is an alliance of people, right? So it's not just the humans and Earth, right? It's also
hundreds of planets,
hundreds of planets. So it would make me think that to some degree, maybe one of the allies of the Federation is still around, preserving the Federation ideals and whatnot. And it's maybe not called the Federation anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, and that makes me think, and I don't know why, but who are we going to see in this new time? Are we going to see the classic sort of allies or members of the Federation? Are we going to see the Vulcans, for example, at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we've seen some Andorians, and they're some of the founding members they're one of the 4 founding members of the Federation. We know that the Tellarite exchange exists, so the Tellarites are around. But Vulcans we haven't seen yet. Yeah, that's true.
Not in this time. Not yet. No,
not yet.
And they seem fairly nonplussed to see Saru, so it seemed like they're used to seeing people who are not from there. So, and they did mention how they are warp capable, but do not use dilithium.
Can we also talk about very quickly, there was a part in this, an aspect of this episode that I thought was the most Star Trek of the episode, and the most Star Trek in a while on Discovery, I think, like just something that felt the most like it. And it was just the ice being parasitic.
All right.
It felt like a concept that you would have seen on Next Generation or the original series or Voyager or something like that. It felt like something where it's like they've crash landed and the ice is there, but then the ice starts growing and it's parasitic, and you think that works. That's not like some weird contrived, they need to up the stakes. I mean, that's why they did it. They need to up the stakes. You always have to put some kind of, advanced urgency, and it's usually for time. And but that one absolutely worked. I thought that was a really good idea and a cool concept, and kudos to whoever came up with that.
Yeah, and it'll also be interesting to see what happens on that planet after dark. I'm not talking about the nightlife. I'm talking about out there and what the parasites, they started to do. But at least that also made it so that there was a certain number. It's like they have to get this stuff figured out by a certain time. And so Stamets had to, fix the blown fuse, plasma manifold rupture, and Tilly had to get back with the rubidium.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the rubidium, Cirroc?
Oh, I love it.
I want some more of it.
So, and it's actually a callback to something that's referenced in the original series as well, if you can believe it.
I didn't catch that, no.
Yeah, there's a point where Kirk and Spock are in a jail cell, and they end up using rubidium to create some sort of a laser so that they can get out of there. I know. Yeah.
That is cool.
They always keep it consistent, these guys. They're always digging in the vaults.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
Yeah, that's something. It seems like Discovery has much less references and callbacks than, say, something like Lower Decks. That's just not really their brand as much. Now, they will include aliens, or in the first season they did it the most, I think, where they would have they had like a Gorn skeleton in Lorca's office. They had a Tribble on his desk, little things here and there that would make all of us nerdy guys squee about it. But they have less of these references in general. So when they put them in, they're usually very subtle little things that, you catch them or you don't. Hopefully one of your friends goes, "Hey, did you notice the Rabindium?" But that's a good, clever way to do it, is to not bash you over the head with things, but kind of just subtly ease them in.
Yeah, it's much more subtle for sure.
They also did a little quick scene with Leland, which is a carryover.
Leland's leftovers.
Yeah, Leland on your shoes. You got a little Leland on your shoes.
Yeah, and Tilly was the perfect person to deliver that as well, that line.
Do you remember who it was that was cleaning him up?
Oh, his name, it starts with a J type sound, because I was thinking of Lower Decks and Jen, but it's not.
Definitely a name we've never heard related to Star Trek. It's Gene.
Oh, no, never heard that.
I think that's exactly what Reno says when she hears that. Yeah, I've already forgot that.
That was a beautiful line. That was the funniest line. And with the hand wave, she's like, "I've already forgotten it. My name's Gene. I have a name."
She actually had another line that I thought was really good. She said, "Yeah, feeling helpless is a real shitty feeling. But we can admit you're not bringing your A game." But I just like the way she delivered that line. Mm-hmm. And she had a really good interaction there with Stamets, I thought. Mm-hmm. I thought their
that was fun.
Was good. Yeah.
I thought everybody had a good moment. And again, that's not an easy thing to do when you have like 13, 14, 15 characters that all need time. They were just like, it's kind of like the greatest hits. Let's give everybody something in their first episode back. Again, all the way down to Nilsson, Dr. Pollard, Linus, all these characters, everybody got something, and it was all good. Like none of it felt contrived or faked or forced, right?
Yep. Non and Bryce and
Non is not a secondary character. Non's at the top.
Oh, and also in this episode, I think that she's credited, by the way, right? within the credits instead of afterwards now. Oh yes, and another commander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think she's like lieutenant commander or something like that.
Oh,
but
so that doesn't count.
But she's high up there. She's one of the highest ranking officers on that ship.
And it was a good sort of dialogue between her and Giorgio about the choices that you make and where you are and why didn't you stay behind with the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So here was a concern of mine before this third season started, was we've seen this before in other sci-fi shows and even in Star Trek, where a ship goes into the future 100 or 500 years or something like that, and somehow they're not completely obliterated by the other ships, because you would think that ship is so completely obsolete, even 10 or 20 years. I mean, that's like a current naval ship going up against something that existed 500 years ago. There's not even in any way would there be any kind of contest. And I was concerned that the problem is they always make it seem like, oh, well, they were able to defend themselves or something. No, you can't. They can't outrun it. They can't defend them. They can't outsmart it. They can't do anything. They're sitting ducks. But they are explaining it in a way that works, because the burn came and wiped everything out. So now what we have is a very sparsely populated, sparsely, teched universe now, or galaxy, to where, the ship can be old, but there isn't a Dominion. that we know of. There isn't a federation. There isn't just something just pushing technology to the brink and making ships super powerful. And so that kind of works. We'll see how they fare when they run into, other ships or other foreign adversaries, but at least that works for now.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like when the structure, it seems like, is kind of like when you had warlords in places, and they didn't have like these large organized armies. And so I think for now they're okay. I mean, we'll see, of course.
Yeah, they're also making it like a little throwback to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And that was the scavengers, the people, they were scavengers, kind of looking for gasoline or looking for parts. And I feel like that they're setting us up into this scavenger future where, people are looking for dilithium, and they're looking for parts or looking for something to piece together something. So it's like they don't have the whole of everything. It's like, they're missing that one part. Which would make the whole thing, smooth and operable, and bring them back to what the pre-burn civilization.
Yeah, and I think that the Western motif kind of underscores that and reminds folks of that Mad Max post-apocalyptic kind of look too.
Yeah, a little bit of Firefly feel, a little bit, to me, honestly, a little bit of a Star Wars feel. It's just the Federation and Star Trek used to always have this clean, pristine, bright, colorful vision of the future. And they're saying like, well, what if everything gets screwed up? What if everything just gets blown up? Then suddenly all that goes out the door. And yeah, you have more of a Mad Max or Star Wars kind of situation where anything goes.
Anything goes. That's right. And I mean, this is way off topic, but it would be interesting to see Risa during this time as well. I have a feeling that is vastly different.
Yeah, they mentioned Risa. Yeah. I thought I would like to hear about that. The other thing that I see a lot of is this hierarchy system of civilization, which is something that's not really addressed in Star Trek. Everybody in the Federation is equal and different races, and nobody really has power or dominion over another person, except for, the Dominion and those guys. But when it comes to the Federation, everything is kind of an equal society. It's this place of equality. And now this Discovery future, you see a lot of tiers in hierarchy. For example, the guys on the colony are being bossed around by Zareh and his group of traders, whatever they're doing. And then in the first episode, we had Book's character kind of having to answer to other people and be subservient to other people in different ways. So I see a real system of hierarchy in this future where people are not treated equally.
Well, yeah, this galaxy's a mess right now. And Discovery is going to be that beacon of light. It seems like they're going to be the example of integrity of the old ways of how things could be again. Kind of like that light in dark times.
So what do you think happens next? I mean, we see Discovery taking off at the end. I mean, it's a tractor beam, but they're getting lifted out of the parasitic ice. So to me, Discovery is about zipping around and visiting other planets, but it seems like we're fairly invested in this planet already. And then the only other one that they want to get to is Terra Elysium.
Right.
So I have a hard time. I mean, I'm just curious how the show is going to go. Is there going to be as much sort of spacefaring? It's Discovery, so it's about the ship, or is it going to be a lot more sort of planet bound? I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, they were saved by Michael Burnham. So I think that, their mission is going to be whatever Michael tells them in episode 3. Michael's going to say,
right,
dude, this is what happened. This is what's going on. This is what we got to do. Or Terra Elysium's blown up, or, because she was teleported to 1 year before they were, because she just said, I've been looking for you for a year, which means she got teleported 930 years. They were teleported 931 or 929 and 930. But either way, her hair grew fast, by the way. That's 1 year. Woo! That was...
she had a different hairdo. She might have changed her whole life up. We don't even know, because
we don't know.
She looked different. She may have got married. I don't know. It's any kind of possibility. Especially, with the way her and Booker were kind of going at it. That means that's a year worth of time of them
development.
Being together.
Yeah, that's true. They, now we just saw like the seeds being planted. Now we can see them actually being a couple.
So maybe for part 2, which will be, I don't know which episode, we kind of see what happened before. So it's a flashback from this one.
Mm-hmm. They could go back a little bit to kind of catch us up on what we missed during that year.
I think that would be a great idea, and I think that's a great guess on your part. And that could be You Are the Hope part 2, where she just says, dude, let me tell you what happened. And then they take us back. We watch that. And then episode 4 is, okay, moving forward.
The other things I would add are 2 things. One, the tractor beam that pulled Discovery out of the ice. What ship was that?
That we don't know yet, right?
They didn't really specify what craft was able to do that.
Right.
So I'm interested to know what kind of ship is that. The other thing I'm interested to know is the character in the episode before this that had the flag folded up, who was carrying on the hope of Federation. Yeah. He mentioned in that episode that there were 2 ships. There were 2 ships, Federation ships left within that range. 600 light year range that he had. So I'm interested to know if those 2 ships are also going to come into play with Discovery, and maybe they're going to be the 3 amigos that start.
God, I sure hope so. Who doesn't want to see Starfleet ships from 900 years into the future, and all the different characters on it? We're going to see tons of Ferengi as a Ferengi captain, maybe. We're going to see all kinds of good stuff.
And it's also, so we know Giorgio is Section 31, or is supposed to be eventually. And now the question for me is it Section 31 in this time, or is it Section 31 back in Discovery? Pre-burn, whenever, 930 years ago. And I'm beginning to think that it's going to be this particular time that she's in instead of in the past.
Yeah, well, because that's the question, is how otherwise they have to figure out a way to have Giorgio go back to the past in order because we know Giorgio is going to be the main character in Section 31 series. So it's going to be wherever she is.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, okay, time travel is illegal here. That's not something that would stop Giorgio anyway, though.
Yeah,
so it could be either place, either time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, may I talk about the trailer briefly for episode 3? Okay, I picked up one thing. Giorgio has on an admiral's uniform.
Didn't notice that.
That's all I got.
Cirroc?
Yeah, and that brings up another point that I had for this episode, when Giorgio and Saru were having their kind of discussions, shall we say, about what the next course of action should be. I felt like Giorgio's presence undermines Saru's ability to lead.
Yeah,
totally.
And so there is conflict there that has to be somebody's got to go, because Saru's not going to be able to lead with Giorgio kind of messing things up.
Right, and he keeps putting her in her place in a way, but she's just kind of like, well, I'll do whatever I want. What do I care? You know, like, and something I don't recall is they made her a commander. I don't remember that happening in the second season. Maybe I need to go back and review that. But suddenly she's a commander, which is confusing to me because, you know, the original Philippa Georgiou was a captain, but this is not her. And this character was an emperor. Neither one was a commander. So how did she become commander? Did they establish that?
Maybe she was commander when she was in Section 31 with Ash Tyler. That's the only thing I can think of, because I don't remember seeing it happen officially.
Mm-hmm. So then I didn't miss anything, because I was like, what's going on here? Who's in charge?
Yeah, I was a little confused too, but I mean, obviously at this juncture, Saru is the captain of the ship, at least the acting captain.
Right.
I think even when Michael Burnham comes back, Saru is the captain. Michael Burnham might lead the mission because she is clearly the one that's been in that timeline for much longer. She knows what's going on. But Saru is the captain of that ship right now. And I don't think Georgiou should be even close. I do think he needs to establish a good second in command. I think a good first officer. I think that's probably Non. She's the second highest ranking. That's the first thing he should do is establish some kind of ranking system, because then when he when he leaves the ship, he does put Non in charge of repairs. So that's something. That's throwing her a bone. Something, you know.
You know, speaking of Saru, I wanted to say that I did like the way he stood up for Tilly in this episode. I liked the way he stood up for her and tried to build up her confidence. It's like, you know, you're not just a nobody. You're somebody that I need, on my side. And I really enjoyed that. I also like the humility that Tilly showed when he said, "This is Tilly," and she's like, "Yeah, my name doesn't really invoke that much."
Yeah,
I forgot what she said. Authority. My name lacks authority.
Right.
Yeah, and she's a good first impression.
Yeah, which was a good way to put it there.
Yeah.
That was good. I like the whole saloon aspect. I like the fight scene. The fight scene was cool. We always know that Michelle Yeoh can deliver in the fight scenes, which I think is why they keep figuring. They're like, okay, how do we get Michelle Yeoh into this scene so that we can have a good fight scene? You know. Because she always delivers.
I have a mention too. I'm sorry. I know we're running short on time, but I want to just throw this out there, as it was the first time I had seen this particular thing. When they were in the sick bay and we had, Culber and Dr. Pollard, their uniforms were white.
Right.
And covered in blood. And I think it was the first time I had seen the doctors on Star Trek covered in blood, like they were. I don't know. Is that something that you guys noticed?
Yeah, I've never seen blood on a doctor's uniform. Now that I think about it, what about you, Homer?
I think I have to watch again. I think we've seen it, but certainly not to this extent.
Yeah, because Culber was covered in like it was blood all over his thing, and then because it was white, it stood out a whole lot.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just like, "Oh, is this Leland?" Wee! And he's just like rolling around him. He's like,
we've certainly never seen somebody cleaning up the remains of someone in a shovel before.
Yeah, I liked it. That was fun.
And then we also had certain medical staff that were in the background wearing the all white, but this time with like a plastic kind of cellophane, like a plasticky cover on top of it, which I thought was another interesting wardrobe change that I hadn't seen before. Just to shout out the wardrobe department there.
You got an eagle eye for the wardrobe always.
Yeah.
No. Details matter.
Yeah. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this? Like I said, we had every character, every interaction. Anything stand out to you between the characters? Anything new or cool?
Not new or cool necessarily, but we have Stamets and Culber. back together.
Right.
So that makes me happy. We have this sort of fighting relationship between Stamets and Jet Reno, which is loads of fun. And we have a guy who went out after dark and may be dead, but he has Tilly's backpack. So we'll see what he can do with that.
Yeah. Was it wise for them to give him her little fanny pack? Because, like,
no,
what's
I
in
don't
there?
think so.
What's
I
in
don't
there?
think so.
Doesn't she need that? Isn't that not what Starfleet?
Yeah.
You can't give out your tech.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I was happy to see the black dude, Mr. Brights, get some airtime in this episode.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him, but I would say that overall, I felt like this episode was setting up so much stuff that it wasn't a storyline episode. It wasn't really going to be the episode that gets into really good, interesting stories. It was more like, this is how they arrive, this is where they get there, this is what they're dealing with, and they're going to find their way back. So almost predictable, almost like, it wasn't really a blow away, like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. It was more like, all right, well, this is what I expected. So it was a little bit, it wasn't the greatest episode is what I want to say. I actually prefer the episode before this, the first episode, more, because I felt like I was getting taken to a place where I had no idea what was about to happen. And this particular, I was like, I kind of felt like I knew what was about to happen.
You weren't worried that the ice was going to overtake the Discovery?
Yeah, I wasn't worried the ice was going to overtake. I wasn't worried that Saru was going to get killed by these cowboys in the saloon. So yeah, there were a lot of things where I was like, all right, well, this is just basically exposition for them to get from point A to point B, and they need to establish them here, and they need to, basically show that they've made it through the wormhole of time.
Right. Set up a few things too. Set up that character, Zareh, that's going to come back. Drop a couple little nuggets about the Tellarite exchange. Show us a few new things that will be popping up later, almost definitely.
Yeah.
Also,
and also to highlight Saru's walk. I mean, his walk was more pronounced in this one than ever before. It's the George Jefferson walk.
Yes, it is, actually, yeah.
He slowed down the George Jefferson walk.
It's almost reminiscent of Cheech's walk in East LA, Born in East LA, if you've ever seen that one back in the day. He's like, oh, yeah, you got to put one hand in your pocket. You got to wave your hand back like you just cut one, you got to walk. So I think of that every time he waves his hands back like this.
Yeah. And I think he's wearing prosthetics on his hands, is he not? Or his hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely they're not human digits, or at least they don't look like that at the tips anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
So the other thing that we see is this stuff called programmable matter. I think we saw it in the first one.
Right.
It's like, and this guy says, "Well, do you think I would be good enough for Starfleet?" So there is this mythology that's out there too about people wanting to join this idea or this ideal. So I like the way they planted in a whole bunch of stuff in this episode, and plus they also covered virtually all of the characters. And yes, they couldn't spend a lot of time on everybody, but I think they did a great job with what they were trying to do for the second episode.
Yeah, programmable matter is a great idea. I put that in my notes as well, because that's another thing that felt very Star Trek. It's just like this new technology, this cool new thing that makes sense. You can almost kind of see that as the progression of technology. That does seem like something that, look, if you can make, holodecks with photons that you can feel and you can walk around in, then why can't you make matter be programmed to where it can change shape and disappear and go down and go up, things like that. I thought that was a great idea. And they have to invent new technology for going in the future. That's just a must. So you have to do that. It needs to be something that's interesting, that makes sense, but that isn't like a be-all and end-all technology that makes the script suck. Because if you create a technology that's too good, then anybody that has this new technology wins the game or wins the fight or wins everything, and it's suddenly you can't write a script that way. So this was a really good idea, I thought.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I would also just add that it reminds me of a 3D printer and how 3D printers kind of make stuff out of the same material, out of this matter. So it's a great futuristic thing to add to the thing. And then the last thing I wanted to go before was it was also Jet Reno's line where she calls Stamets Bobcat.
Yeah, love that. That was hilarious.
I love that, but I also like her explanation on why she did it. She's like, "Yeah, I'm on drugs."
Exactly.
And I thought that
she's
was
like, she's like, "Okay, Bobcat." He's like, "Bobcat." She's like, "What do I know? I'm on drugs."
Yeah.
My back hurts. Remember?
My back. Did I mention my back, guys?
My neck and my back.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that about does it for this week. That was a Friday reference, by the way. Homer, my neck and my back. Anyway.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, everybody at home, for joining us. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't. Give us some comments below. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. If you're watching this on Amazon, we're not on Amazon, but if we are someday in the future, give us a 5-star rating. Just see what happens. Anyway, thank you all very much for joining us. We will see you next week, and always remember the 7th rule.